Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at another new premium offering coming out of Artisan Cutlery. And this is a rather different one. You don't see a lot like these coming out of anywhere, especially Artisan Cutlery. There's a couple pretty unique features with this knife. One thing that's not necessarily unique, but very good, is the designer. It's one of the more, I think, more well-respected designers in the industry, always bringing some heat. This one is no different. What we are talking about today is the Artisan Cutlery Cami. Now, before I go any further into this review, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length coming in at 8.43 inches, a blade length of 3.78 inches, and a blade thickness at 130 thousandths. Blade material on this guy is S35VN with a very nice, not too dramatic, but a little zesty recurve drop point blade with a very nice slicey flat grind. Handle length coming in at 4.65 inches. Handle material of micarta on the show side and a very nice, strong titanium frame lock on the clip side. We have a user of a right hand only tip-up carry. Weight coming in at 5.04 ounces. Designer Dirk Pinkerton. If you saw this on the clip side of the blade, you know a Dirk Pinkerton maker's mark when you see one. And Dirk is very, very good at designing knives that feel amazing in the hand and also have a nice tactical vibe to it, but not too intense. And I think that comes off really, really well with this Cami design. A price coming in at $199, and that's pretty much your going rate for a premium Artisan Cutlery design. You get some really good materials, some excellent fit and finish, and that $200 price tag. So now let's take a look at some size comparisons and see how it stacks up here with a couple other premium offerings from Artisan Cutlery this year. This is the Ornis, and if you haven't tried this, this is another phenomenal design from Dylan Mallory. This is arguably, I think, the most underrated knife of the year, over $200 so far. Granted, it's right at 200 bucks, but really, really loving that. Still, after the 2 or 3 months I've had it, still loving it. Also loving this, the Artisan Cutlery Satyr, designed by Chris Ortiz of Cerberus Knives. Another really strong offering with very sleek, elegant lines, I must say. As you can see here, the Cami's just a little bigger, really about the same amount of handle. If you compare them in the general vicinity of the handle, you'll see the handles are all very similar. The real difference is the blade. You get a little more blade with the Cami, and kind of a unique, well, not unique, but a deployment feature that you don't see on many knives. And we'll talk about why I think we usually don't see many thumb discs on knives. And I'm glad to see them, but I have one big thing that I'd like to point out that I think could really help companies and really help anyone in general when deciding, should I put a thumb disc on a knife? Because I personally like thumb discs a lot, but there's something very important you got to keep in mind when you're doing that. Let's bring a couple other knives out real quick here, just because CGRB/Artisan Cutlery has come out with some excellent knives this year, and I got more to show you. This one here is from Ray Laconico, and the name of it is actually escaping me at the moment. Is it on here? It is not, but it's a Ray Laconico design. It'll come to me. This is a budget knife, like 50 bucks, 55 bucks. Amazing, amazing knife. And then here is the Bowie Pyrite premium version in titanium. And there you go. Obviously, they're different sizes, but I think that helps put everything into a little better perspective of size, because maybe you've handled this knife or the Pyrite, and it gives you a better idea. So there's that. Now let's start talking about this knife, because there's a couple things that, like I said, you don't normally see a recurve and you don't normally see a thumb disc. And Artisan said, you know what? We're going to put the same thing, or both things, on the same knife. And to be totally honest, I think they did a really good job with it. I have very, very few complaints about this Cami here. It is smooth as always. The blade is a very, very nice slicey blade. Behind the edge reading coming in around 17 thousandths behind the sharpened edge, which is very nice and slicey with that high flat grind. It's going to be a very, very good knife for, any type of cutting tasks. A slicey knife is a slicey knife, unless you're going to cut through stuff real heavy and abrasive and thick and hard. Maybe you want a thicker blade stock, but this is going to be a great EDC blade as long as you're okay with the bigger blades in length. We have some excellent jimping back here that is not just grippy and tacky, but it also kind of comes up. It kind of acts as a ramp there, and it's a really, really, really good landing spot for your thumb. Combined with the thumb disc, you have a really nice base to put your thumb, and that just, to be quite honest, feels excellent. Really, really digging the ergos on this. You have a very, very, as I said, a nice plunge grind going all the way up to the little sharpening choil there. And the thumb disc. That's probably the elephant in the room, right? You're going to have some people that just really don't like it, and you're going to have some people that love it. This is what I love about a thumb disc. It is perfect for middle finger flicking. It's great for middle finger flicking. You can, of course, also slow roll it very easy. And this is what I was referring to earlier. The one thing that companies really need to pay attention to when they're putting a thumb disc on a knife, and I'm sure a lot of places probably know this and they're well aware of it, but the big difference between a thumb disc and a thumb stud is the distance of the part from the handle. So as you can see here, looking at the Pyrite Bowie, or the Bowie Pyrite, you have thumb studs that are very close to the handle, which makes it very easy to pop that blade out. You don't have to really extend your thumb. You just push up, blade flies out effortlessly, and it's an incredible, incredible action on this guy. When it comes to deploying a thumb disc, now if you're middle finger flicking, that's easy. That's like middle finger flicking a Spidey hole as far as I'm concerned. Like, I have no issue whatsoever middle finger flicking this blade, and I think it is extremely satisfying and very, very good. When it comes to deploying it with the thumb in a thumb flick, you can't just push it like a thumb stud, because if you push it like a thumb stud, you'll kind of get that. It'll go, but it won't fully deploy. The trick to a thumb disc is just simply following through with your flick. You have to give it a little more extension in your thumb, and that will kick the blade out. Some people don't like that, but once you know that, once you get that extra good amount of force behind the flick, I promise, it works. Maybe you need a little wrist, maybe you don't. I really don't need wrist. It's just all about extending the thumb and giving it enough to get out. So that's kind of the drawback. So I think where a thumb disc works really well is with a handle and a blade that is more sleek, more together. Really, to be honest, even something I feel like the Pyrite would work really well with a thumb disc, because, I mean, look at the distance there. As you can see, it's a lot more of a narrow handle. So I think a thumb disc would work better on something like the Pyrite, as to where, like I said, I still think it works really good on this. And again, I'm a middle finger flicker, so I'm going to be opening it like this pretty much all the time. So I really love it. I don't have a huge issue. And if you're going to use the thumb deployment on a thumb disc, you just have to either give it a little wrist or fully extend with the thumb to really get that blade out there. So that's what you have to keep in mind, and I hope companies will keep in mind in the future when they put thumb discs on knives, which I do like, and I would hope to see more. I feel like it's a little better if the overall profile of the knife when closed is a little more narrow, so you don't have to extend your thumb out that far, because that's where you can have the issues. Now, when it comes to the flipper obviously works incredibly well on this. No issues with the flipper, and I love the fact that they put a flipper on this along with the thumb disc, because a lot of people aren't going to like the thumb disc. They're just flat out not going to like it. So you can easily flip it, even though I completely botched that because I was not paying attention. You can flip it very easily, kick the blade out, and it is, of course, running on bearings, so you can simply give it the little push, and it flies out very, very satisfyingly, very good. But again, I think I prefer the middle finger flick on this. I really, really enjoy it. It's a very nice, smooth, enjoyable, clean action. Really big fan of this. When it comes to the recurve, you're either going to love it or you're not going to care about it that much. This isn't too dramatic of a recurve for me. Like on a rod, I can sharpen this rather easy on a rod. I may not get it to like the absolute perfect level of sharpness that a lot of people like, but I'm also not the world's best sharpener, and I can just acknowledge that and be okay with it. Knowing that I can at least get the knife back into a sharp enough state for me for the knife to be totally functional and very sharp is really all I'm looking for when I'm sharpening. I'm not a sharpening professional. And to be totally honest, the recurve doesn't make it hard. It just makes you sharpen it a little differently. So take that for what it's worth. But the ergonomics on this guy, the ergos are so good. I have rather wide hands. Now, I wouldn't say like fat or thick hands, but I do have kind of a wide palm, I guess. And when I have a full 4-finger grip on this, I have a very nice purchase. I got a little handle left at the bottom when it comes down to curve and kind of lock my hand in there. And as I said before, a very nice place to put my thumb on the back with the jimping and the thumb disc. And you do have some contouring on the handle. It's not fully contoured. It has a flat base, but it has some really nice beveling on the sides here on both. This is a little more better visual of kind of what you're seeing there. But yeah, it feels great in hand. I think it looks really good. And it is quite fidgety for the deployment options it has for thumb discs and for the flipper and just very smooth, satisfying action. I think it's a really good knife. Comes down to, again, at the end of the day, it always comes down to what you personally think, what you look for in a knife. But I would say for a knife that is definitely a little more out of left field when it comes to your typical offerings from Artisan, I think they did a really good job with this. Really enjoying it. The Artisan Cutlery Cami. Let me know what you guys think of this. In my opinion, another fantastic Dirk Pinkerton design. And I cannot wait to see what else he has in store in the knife industry and what releases he's going to have come out later this year. So that's that, guys. Let me know what you think of the Cami. Really hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.